Hey everybody, so long time without a video, but today we have a new DaDaBIK release, version 11.9, so we have a release video. So a long time without a video. I've been very busy with the release of Apify Text, apifytext.ai. You probably know about it. It's basically the combination of DaDaBIK and AI, artificial intelligence, to create an application from a text description. If you haven't tried yet, apifytext.ai. But anyway, today we need to talk about DaDaBIK 11.9. So here is the changelog. In this version, we have several fixes and a couple of new features. So I will discuss with you the most important things in the changelog. So I would start with the fact that cross-site scripting vulnerability has been fixed. That is very important. So it is very important to upgrade your DaDaBIK. This fix was already available. I informed you about this vulnerability via email through the newsletter in January, and the version, the DaDaBIK version available online was silently upgraded. So if you downloaded DaDaBIK after January 31st, then you already have a fixed version, or if you applied the patch I sent through the newsletter, you are already fixed from that point of view. However, this fix released with the official DaDaBIK version 11.9 has some additional improvements. Not for that specific vulnerability, but in general, in case new cross-site scripting vulnerabilities will be found, the result, they won't be as dangerous as this was before applying the patch. Okay. Also, many libraries used by DaDaBIK have been upgraded. So even for those libraries, you may have security bugs and security issues fixed. In particular, Tiny MCE also has a cross-site scripting vulnerability that has been fixed by them, and the fix is now available in DaDaBIK 11.9. Well, in general, sometimes I might add to our changelog something coming from the changelog of the libraries we use, but if you really want to know exactly everything that has changed, you should also look at the changelog of each of the libraries we use. Then, very little but very important fix was this one. Basically, on Safari 16, you had you had rendering problems on forms. So you see your fields wrongly aligned with the labels. this is now fixed. Thanks again to the guy on the forum who provided a very quick and effective fix. I think he was Massimo, the username. Thanks again. And what else? Well, there are other fixes that you can read by yourself. Maybe the most important one is the one about insert, before insert and before update operational hooks. There was a problem that has been fixed. Also, this is something I've discovered working on a DaDaBIK application I developed for a customer. If you don't have a favicon.eco file on your site, let me check. Okay, this is sometimes the apparently completely unrelated error that you may get. You don't have or have lost your lock on this item. So most of the times this is just a regular error, but if you realize that you're getting this error all the time, well, double check this issue that I added to the frequently asked questions, because maybe it has to do with the lack of this file. Okay, so let's talk about the new features and changes now. So the first thing, well, there is a little thing that can help. So this one. So basically now you can define your own mail function if you want. You could do it even before. You could change the mail function used in the general functions file, but the general functions file is overwritten when you upgrade DaDaBIK. So your changes were lost. Now it is possible to define a custom function that will be untouched after an upgrade. And sometimes it might be useful, for example, if you want to use a library to send email in DaDaBIK, like PHP mailer. Then I want to talk about what? About new custom code API, new custom code API functions. When we talk about DaDaBIK API, maybe there could be some confusion now, because now we have two sets of API, custom code API and HTTP API. So let's try to clarify that. First of all, let's start from the no code capabilities of DaDaBIK. So with DaDaBIK you can create an application, a web application, for example a CRUD application, without any coding. So in that case you don't need API, okay, because you just configure your application through a graphical interface and some configuration parameters, okay. However, at some point, for more advanced features you want to implement in your application, you might need or you might want to add your own custom code. For example, maybe you want to write a custom validation function, and then you provide your PHP code to validate your data. or you may need a button that executes some JavaScript code, and again you provide your JavaScript code, or you want to add an after insert hook, for example. An after insert hook basically is a piece of code that is executed, custom piece of code that is executed when a new record is inserted into a particular table. Okay, and again, you provide your code. There are many other options you have. Anyway, anytime you have to write your own code, so that's what we call low code approach in DaDaBIK, and in particular if the code is PHP, then you have some API on the top of DaDaBIK that basically allows you to keep your code more compact, more lean, and probably also more secure. So for some basic things some basic activities that typically are often executed in custom code, in PHP custom code, in DaDaBIK applications, you have some functions you can call, and we have two new additional functions because custom code API functions were introduced only very recently and only with one function. Let me check here. The function was get record details. Basically, with one line of code, you get the details of a record, so all the values for all the fields, instead of executing manually an SQL query. That was get record details. We have two additional functions. The first one is update record. So with update record, we update, as the name suggests, a record in a table with new values for one or more fields. Well, I said one record, but it can also be more than one records. All the records that match the condition you provide. So for example, here in one code line, we updated the ID, the customer having ID 10 in the customers table with a new address and a new city. Okay. And then the other one is count records. Every time you need to count the records for a table, you can do it again with one line of code, providing the table name and a condition. So here we are counting the customers where the city is Bologna. Okay. So when get record details was introduced, it was just a standard function that you could call. Now the custom code API has been refactored. So basically, we now have a DDB API class, and each function is a static method of this class. From your point of view, the only thing that changes basically is that you have to prefix, when you call the function, you have to prefix the function name with this. Okay. since I didn't want to break your existing code, only for get record details, this function still works even if you just call the function in a, let's say, standard way. Okay. Maybe you are wondering if HTTP API and custom code API share the same code. So when I call an HTTP API, if I have the same function in the custom code API, if they actually execute the same code, and the only difference is the way I call them. The answer at the moment is no, but I really have to think about it, and it's no for various reasons, but in the future it might happen. Okay, so the reason why I'm talking about HTTP API is not only to clarify the difference with custom code API, but also because in version 11.9 it is possible, let me check here, it is possible to call through the HTTP API also PHP custom pages. So until version 11.8, the only things you could do with HTTP API, and by the way, they are available only for DaDaBIK Platinum, was, again, authentication and selection. Now you can also create a completely custom PHP page and allows users from other applications to call this PHP custom page through HTTP API. While for the selection, DaDaBIK automatically handles the answer in JSON. In this case, you have, since it's totally custom, you have to provide the answer to HTTP to the HTTP API calls. But at least DaDaBIK will manage the permissions. So if you get an HTTP API call to a custom PHP page, and the user connected, the user authenticated through the HTTP API was not didn't have the permission to see that custom page, the custom page doesn't work. So at least you have all the permissions or the authentication and permissions automatically managed. Okay, this can be useful and very useful in some particular cases, especially if you have in your information systems several applications that need to communicate to each other. Okay, I think I've discussed all the most important things. As usual, to get the latest version of DaDaBIK 11.9, dadabik.com/download, and here you can buy a new license. You can subscribe if you prefer the monthly subscription. You can download a free upgrade if you have a license already and your free upgrade period is not over, or if you have an active subscription to DaDaBIK. And if you have an enterprise edition license or platinum license and your free upgrade period is over, you can also buy a maintenance license to extend by 1 year your free upgrade period. Okay, so that's it for today. See you next time. Ciao.